Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cameras and Coffee. And no, don't worry, this is not the end of film photography. It's just one manufacturer increasing their prices. But first, the intro. Okay, today's coffee, and this is a good one, comes courtesy of my Imgur Secret Santa. This is the Costa Rica El Volcan light roast from Allegro Coffee. So thank you, Imgur Secret Santa. I am enjoying this a great deal. Today we're going to talk about this PetaPixel article, and many other online sources have talked about this in the last week. But there's a link to the PetaPixel article in the video description. It's from January 11th, and it's by Jaron Schneider. Kodak poised to raise the price of film by up to 40%. Okay, so as of this video's recording, the price increase should have kicked in a few days ago. So the first paragraph just says Kodak's set to raise prices of its film by upwards of 40% globally starting this month, January 2023. And they make the very good observation that that's not an insignificant amount. Okay. So I've seen a few different reactions to this that are, that's a steep price increase. So for Kodak, this could be really good news, because we talked in December about Kodak not having enough people to work their lines to keep the product going out the door to meet the demand for film. That's really good. That means for the film industry that film is a viable product, more so than it has been since the digital apocalypse, right? Okay, so that's good news number one. Second bit of good news is if they're raising their prices, it means that they believe the market can sustain it. Likely also, I'm not reading this as a corporate greed price increase, more as a raw materials price increase. I don't have any insight from Kodak Alaris as to what caused this price increase, but looking at the cost of raw materials due to supply chain issues, the war in Ukraine, and all of these different things that are, and the zero COVID policy in China and how that has affected supply chains, all of these things are still rippling through our economies, and raw material prices have gone up a lot. So educated guess is that this has as much to do with raw material price increases as it does for just wanting more money. Hopefully more of the former and less of the latter, but I couldn't tell you either way what the split is. So at any rate, no company ever raises prices without the understanding that they're going to get at least some more money, even if it's just in gross receipts. Okay, so long and short of it is interesting tidbit in this article: Kodak Gold and Kodak Gold 200 and Color Plus 200 price gap's going to shrink. I guess those are the two. And this article also notes that they're the two most popular consumer grade Kodak films. Kind of shocking with the way that the Kodak Gold All About Film videos performed. That I wouldn't have guessed it was one of their most popular based on just the data point of that video's performance. So what does this price increase mean for photographers? Well, a little and a lot depends on the type of film photography you do. So Kodak has taken the approach of working to be the last color film manufacturer standing. That's their objective. And if that happens, because right now Fuji is still making a few color films, but if Kodak is the source for color films, they have a monopoly on that product. They can basically charge what they want, and if anybody who wants to shoot color film will pay that. As far as I know, Kodak is the only company still making motion color film. If that's incorrect, someone will correct me in the comments pretty quickly. So Kodak has been working on making that their niche. And niches in industry are profitable. Some of them are very profitable. So for those of us who really like shooting color negative and color reversal films, that does mean this price increase, that prices are going to go way up for us. Film cost is going to go way up. For people who are in lower income countries than, say, the US, film will now be an even greater percentage of their income. And that means that for many people in countries outside of the US, countries with a lower GDP or lower per capita income than the US, that film use will definitely decrease. And that could have a potential cascading effect for film labs in those countries. In the US, I don't think it's going to have as much of a dent on color film hobbyist use. So this does have the potential to change the way that people use film, where people might have been attracted to getting a color image and the ease of taking a color photo and just sending it off to a lab. Well, if that is now even more expensive, black and white film suddenly becomes way more interesting. And for student photographers, most of whom use black and white film anyway, honestly, this announcement about color film doesn't have a huge effect on their film use. This is for professional film photographers who are going to be affected by it, and hobbyist film photographers who like color film, they're going to be affected by it. And me, and we'll talk about what's going to happen with the All About Film series in a minute. So, but for students who aren't generally using color film, rather, Kentmere, great, exceptionally good film, good price. All black and white, still readily accessible and fairly priced. Ilford, really good films, fairly priced. FOMA, fairly priced. And unique. The 100 is a good film. The 400 I've been using a lot this year to make that all about film, and it's a challenge. Ultrafine and Arista, still, well, I'd have the same opinions of those as I do of the FOMA films. Anyway, still very viable options for student photographers, especially who are learning, because Arista and Ultrafine are very, very good and consistent films that are good for using as learning stocks, okay? Or even for people who are really good with black and white film and want the look that those films and FOMA deliver. Okay. Anyway, long and short of it is, for black and white film photographers, the immediate appearance of this is that this isn't going to be a huge effect. Okay. I would imagine that down the road that this could have effect, especially because black and white film uses a lot of silver, and silver is not going to get cheaper. Okay. So what does this mean for things like the All About Film series? In 2023, not a whole lot. All the color film for the 2023 videos has been shot, and it's either been developed, or I have a few rolls left that I need to finish up and send to the lab, like one of Color Mission, all the Portra, all the Ultramax have been shot. So for 2023, the color films that I have planned going to continue as expected. In 2023 black and white, no effect. But I'm feeling the pinch of these price increases as well. So what this means for my All About Film videos, and what this means for a lot of hobbyist photographers, is that instead of being able to say, I'm going to go out and buy 5 rolls of film, it's, okay, I've got this amount of money, how much film can I buy with it? So my ADOX Color Mission video kind of set a precedent for what the future of the All About Film series is going to be like. About 25 rolls. I said, I'm going to see what I can do with this. I just put in an order the other day at POFO for their respooled Kodak Aerochrome. It hasn't arrived yet, Aerochrome 4. Hasn't arrived yet, should ship soon. And I was able to get 17 rolls of that. In both of those cases, whatever I get from those rolls is what's going to end up in the All About Film video. That's the direction that the series is going to take. It's not going to go away. It's just that instead of saying, I'm going to keep using this film until I have a certain number of photos and have used a certain number of developers and pushed and pulled the film, it's going to be more of, here's how much I could buy. At the end of this stock, here's what the video is going to be. And I think that's the way a lot of hobbyists will have to look at film is, I'm not going to buy 5 rolls of my favorite film. I'm going to buy 2 or 3 and probably use digital to make up the balance of the images. So it's a bummer, but this is what prices do. They go up. It kind of sucks. They don't stay flat and they don't go down, especially right now. So ultimately, the price rise that we're looking at for color film isn't the end of the world. It's not going to destroy film photography or anything like that. It's just going to change the habits of the way that film photographers shoot. It will likely increase it will decrease the amount of film that a lot of hobbyists shoot as well. I think ultimately it will probably increase the overall profits for Kodak because realistically, I suspect that most of their profits, not being a shareholder, couldn't say this for sure, haven't read their books. I suspect, though, that most of their profits come from the movie industry, or at least a big chunk of them, and that's probably still going to be a good driver for them. So I don't think this is going to put Kodak out of business or anything like that either. But it is going to affect hobbyists and how much film we shoot. So again, not the end of the world. So drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next Cameras and Coffee.